Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Gemini energy, and we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because people have free will. Some people harness high vibe Gemini, some harness a more worldly focused Gemini energy, some people harness a more shadowy Gemini energy, and we all harness some Gemini energy. So listen to your intuition about where you fall in the story, where other people fall in the story, and get an idea of where you think people are at in your life. Gemini energy is air sign energy of the mind and our intellect and how we communicate and kind of our charming and ways of being. And, it has to do with what we're aligned with within ourselves to what we believe we can, of how we want to go about manifesting our dreams into reality. Is it love and hope and faith and belief and acting with character and integrity, or are we a little more motivated by the world and we want the things of the world more than we want love, or we're fearful of love? So let's see what's going on. We start out with these 4 cards not showing themselves, and it has to do with the 6 of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy, which has to do with our underlying philosophy of life. Our own Taurus energy dictates the decisions we make in our life. Are we more worldly focused, ego focused, image, money focused, indulgent focused, or kind of really being someone who is inspired to walk the talk? Having a really solid, stable foundation, which a solid foundation is built on love and acting with character and integrity and wanting to take action you're proud of. And then we have the 8 of Pentacles, the King of Cups, and the Lover's card. Whatever our truth is, whatever drives and motivates us, is going to be what we're going to put work and effort into. Some people are going to put work and effort. The Kings in tarot, we all take action in masculine energy because the feminines in tarot can talk about our emotional state, which is kind of our hidden realm. So we can all take action in the world and present ourselves as a King of Cups, like I'm a loving family person. But are we really? Are we more motivated by money and greed or indulgence, or is it love? Whatever people's truth is what they're going to put work and effort based on their long-term dream in their Virgo energy. Is it, I want to be a King of Pentacles, I want the money and the status and the image and indulgence, or have I gained insight and wisdom that if I keep repeating those type of patterns and ways of viewing life, I'm never going to be free to, be in mutually loving relationships, because that's not what I'm motivated and inspired by. So some people are going to put work and effort to see the truth that it's about loving themselves and taking action in love with the Gemini card there. Other people are like, I want to be in a relationship. I want to maybe be in a relationship, be in a marriage, look victorious and successful in the world. But I'm really driven more by the ego and the image or the money of it. And the Lover's card used to be called the Choice card. Love's optional. It's kind of like, I'm going to have sex with somebody, so who am I going to have sex with? So some people are going to present themselves as loving in order to try to get other people to get in a relationship with them, because they might think that that would be good for their status, their image, making them look more stable, making them look more successful, or like they're a person of character and integrity, but they might not be. And other people really are. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles. So people are motivated and inspired. Some people just by money and materialism. And in shadowy Aquarius energy, they're being deceptive and manipulative to get it. Other people want long-term stability and security in a foundation that's abundant in lots of ways, including not giving up on your dreams. High vibe Aquarius is, I want to be in relationships with other people who know their worth and value, who are stable and grounded and loving and just and fair and truthful and look at life from a higher perspective. That's what would be a truly abundant foundation, because we all put work and effort into having stability and security, and we'd all like to enjoy the finer things in life. It's just, how are we going to go about getting it? Are we going to try to get in relationships just because more driven by the ego and the image? Or is it really love? The high vibe people are listening to their intuition, not getting caught up in their head and their fears and their insecurity. They're not willing to give up on their dreams. And other people are hoping that the people they get in a relationship with don't know the truth of why they're in the relationship. And why aren't the high vibe people want to move forward, looking at life as an adventure to be lived, to give it everything they've got, to be in emotionally strong and loving and warm relationships where everyone is motivated and inspired in the Ten of Wands to temper their fears, their insecurity, their more selfish, greedy nature, to choose to be in life-giving energy. I want to be in relationships with people who are warm and loving and authentic. Now, there could be some people who found themselves in a relationship that they were moving forward with, and they could have had the best of intentions, and they could be a loving person themselves. But then they could be starting to realize the truth of the people they're moving forward with. Oh, let me turn this down for you a little bit. So people could have gotten in a relationship. The Six of Pentacles can talk about giving and exchanging with people, time, energy, effort, hugs and kisses, or in a workplace, that you're putting in work and effort to try to have equal give and take in some type of relationship. And one person could have been putting in work and effort, having hope and faith and belief and love. And what they didn't realize, what they weren't seeing the truth of, for some people, is that they were working with someone who presents themselves as being like loving and they're on board with this, but really they could be starting to see the truth that some people have people moving forward with them in relationships, not because of love, but because they want the image and the status and the money and materialism. Are those people going to listen to their intuition if they know they're in a mismatched relationship? Or are they going to keep moving forward with it because they're kind of in their ego about it? And they're just going to be strong about the fact that they're in a relationship with someone who they've maybe come to realize is emotionally manipulating them. And it's not based on love. The Death card, non-life-giving energy. Some people are going to move forward in those jobs or those relationships where it isn't what they thought it was going to be, But why would people stay in it anyway? The Sun card, the Hierophant card, the Three of Wands. It looks victorious and successful by worldly standards. It looks like they have it all. It'd be just the same as somebody having a job and getting the job thinking it was going to be great. And then you get the job and you find out that, oh, wow, these people aren't who they presented themselves to be. But why wouldn't we end it and have a new beginning and act with character and integrity and keep believing in our dreams? Because we might have fear about going and getting a new job. We don't know if we can make that same pay scale at another job. This one has a lot of image and status associated with it. And so some people are going to put an end to having a new beginnings in their life and new relationships or new workplaces. And they're just going to try to be strong, even though they're overwhelmed at that job or relationship, because they don't want to illuminate the truth. We can all get, say, a romantic relationship, and we get in it by worldly standards. It all looks really successful and victorious. And then we find out somebody's not who they thought they were. Sometimes the people who aren't the people who are in the relationship for love might be more, I can indulge myself in this relationship. This is good for my ego and my image. Makes me look very successful and stable and grounded and all those things. sometimes the shadowy people are counting on the loving people in their life not willing to let go of the relationship and hoping they'll stay in it for ego. Perfect. So basically, I could keep exchanging resources with you, time, energy, effort, hugs, and kisses, and I can keep wearing my false mask, even though you've seen the truth of who I am, which shadowy like Virgo and Aquarius, it's like, the reason I'm in the relationship is more because of money or materialism or status and image, that it really isn't love. And they also, shadowy Aquarius can be people who, really driven by the world, really want to look like a shining star in the world. But they also can be people who are kind of, and they don't have to be an Aquarius sun sign, it's just how they harness their Aquarius energy. They're more about, liking to be in the relationship so long as everyone else that they're in relationship with kind of treat them kind of like the privileged person in a relationship. Everyone else here has to put aside their pride and ego, but never me. And, it's kind of self-centered and egotistical. And then they're hoping that even if their partner does see the truth, that they might really be in it for reasons other than love, they hope that because their partner's kind of prideful and because of the image and the status, and it looks like their dreams have come into reality, that they'll stay in it anyway. But the whole thing is, when we're either operating, well, for one thing, if some people think, oh, I'll just grin and bear it and I'll stay in it anyway, well, for one, you could end up where the person that you're in a relationship has already shown you that they're not in it for love. And so they might harness shadowy Scorpio energy, which is people who are emotionally shallow and superficial. And they harness shadowy Cancer energy, where they use their emotions manipulatively in order to get what they want in a relationship. And if they're not motivated by love, if someone else comes along that has more money, more ego, more image, more status, they'll leave this relationship and put an end to it in the death card. I was just in this because it was good for my ego and my image and my status, but oh my gosh, there's someone else that I could have a new beginning with that has more ego, more image, more status for me. I'm going to leave this relationship, put an end to it in the death card. There's no loyalty there. So the people who think, oh, I'll just grin and bear it, is probably not going to turn out the way they expected. And if they do stay in it and their partner doesn't find someone else, someone who's pretty prideful and egotistical and self-centered, it's like enough is never enough. I'm not getting enough attention from you. You're not kind of indulging me enough. And so then they can get kind of intimidating and controlling in the relationship. They don't want you to love and believe in yourself and believe in your dreams. You're supposed to let those go to keep making your life about indulging them in their wants and needs. Maybe they're kind of like an immature player, and you're just supposed to be strong and love them anyway and put an end to your own dreams. And if you don't, and they think that you're, kind of loving and believing in yourself and kind of growing and maturing yourself as a person, that's when their more controlling and intimidating nature will come out. Because if you start to change and love and believe in yourself, well, then you're going to want them to kind of be more just and fair in the relationship. And the more you love and believe in yourself, the less likely you're going to keep staying in a relationship and indulging them. And they don't like that either. And eventually, if you insist on healing and growing and maturing yourself and believing in yourself, regardless of how this person is acting, eventually they're going to want to end the relationship, because that's not how they want to do it. They want you to let them play on your fear and your insecurity and your pride and your ego to keep indulging them. And if you get to where you're like, no, I'm done. I've been giving it everything I've got, and I have decided to temper my own ego about this relationship and love myself, and I'm not going to keep indulging you in your ego, and I'm going to start investing in myself. Loving myself and believing in myself. You can do your life the way you want, and I'll do my life the way I want. And that's when it's like, that's not good enough. And they'll want to end the relationship with you because, you're not the way you used to be when you initially got in the relationship, and we're maybe okay, because we can all get in relationships and put in work and effort to have stability and security and all that. And then sometimes people get so caught up in the things of the world. At what time do we ever know when somebody in a relationship is going to kind of tip out of balance where, whatever it is that they're addicted to kind of gets more of a hold on them than their more loving, intuitive, and just and fair nature. And people's being indulged in a relationship, they can become lazy and feel entitled that, well, no, you used to put in a lot of work and effort, and I kind of presented myself as a loving person. I like that way. And now I've gotten spoiled about it, and I don't want to see the truth that, maybe you were doing that because that's the kind of person you are. But now you might want me to do more equal give and take and look at life from a higher perspective. Well, I don't like that. I liked it back when it was like this. And, we can definitely spoil people in a relationship. So it's always good to try to make sure there's kind of equal give and take and we're not indulging people. So I think for people right now that could be finding themselves in a mismatched relationship or a job, some of the high vibe people have seen the truth. And either they were kind of willing to settle for a more superficial relationship, and now they've seen the truth that I'm deceiving myself. This is overwhelming to be in a relationship like this. I cannot keep doing this. I need to retreat. I need to go back to putting in work and effort to love and believe in myself and believe in my dreams and not give up on my dreams, because we come to this planet, probably, if we had a conversation with God before we came down here, it's probably like, well, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have a dualistic nature. You're going to have the knowledge of good and evil. You're going to live in the world. You have your worldly nature that wants to be in the driver's seat of your life. You also got your loving, creative, inspired nature, and that aspect of you kind of wants you to love your worldly nature, to be more balanced so that you can move forward victoriously. But if you don't get too caught up in the world, or don't learn to love yourself and offer yourself compassion and forgiveness for the mistakes you're going to make on the way, because you are a fallible human being who has a lot of life lessons to learn. If you don't learn those lessons, you could kind of get caught up in the illusion of the world, or indulging other people, or being codependent on other people for the things of the world, because you might have forgotten that you are the manifester of your life, and what you believe is possible and you start putting work and effort into is what the divine can work with you to bring into reality. But you can't give up on your dreams. And it's kind of easier, to kind of give in to the things of the world and make your life and live your life that way, because I don't know, there's a lot of quick access to things like that to make us feel better or get us what we want. But if we want long-term stability and feeling stable and grounded within ourselves, we have to build a foundation on love. And it takes work and effort. Our shadowy nature, represented by the devil, is kind of the lazy way. And some people want the things that they want in the world without having to, either they want to be indulged or they're willing to indulge someone else. And it's just not going to turn out the way we thought it was going to work out, because we had lessons to learn that we live in this matrix of the world, and kind of like gravity exists in the world, the answer was always meant to be love. And if we haven't learned that lesson, things will keep ending on us and not turning out the way we thought, because it was supposed to be about love. And we can have all the things of the world. The devil's willing to offer us those things, like our shadow nature, but we just won't have love. And, that's what we were supposed to come here to have, to be free. Free to give and receive love and believe that we deserve love, and to give love and be in relationships with other people who treat us, treat others as you would like to be treated. And if we're willing to settle for less, it is kind of like an addiction where the people who aren't treating us the way we should be treated are going to get worse and worse over time because it's like an addiction and they're abusing their power and thinking because you love them and you're codependent on them that then there are people who abuse their power. People who move forward in a just and fair relationship are people who both know the truth that it's about not indulging in your more self-centered nature, being self-aware and putting in work and effort to gain insight and wisdom of when you are tempted to act in your more immature, indulgent, self-centered nature. And if you've learned enough lessons in life, you're sabotaging yourself. And both people keep putting in the work and effort that even though in their ego, they might be tempted by other people in the world and to be manipulated by their own fear, insecurity, lust, greed, selfishness, whatever, that if they do that, they're just going to put an end to a loving, stable, loyal, and committed relationship. So the people who are in that, if you're in a relationship with someone who puts in work and effort to be loving and to look at life from a higher perspective and puts in work and effort to be self-aware of why they do what they do in the world and has insight and understanding that you have your own dreams too, and that both of you are individuals who have your own dreams and aspirations, and they're willing to move forward with you and not operate from pride and ego and stubbornness and all about themselves and their wants and needs, then, you're in a very high vibe relationship. And for the people who have found themselves in a mismatched relationship, the reason why we get in those mismatched relationships, we're kind of drawn and attracted to people who might have similar wounding as us. And maybe we haven't learned to love ourselves and we hadn't learned to do that work within ourselves to really know what it means to treat ourselves with love and compassion and encouragement every day, kind of being like our own best mother, father, coach voice. And so then we kind of could have been codependent on other people to love us and make us feel more emotionally stable or more emotionally grounded or whatever. And then that's when we can get in a mismatched relationship. And those people basically come into our life and they have these they had the free will choice to move forward with us in a just and fair relationship, and we could have grown together. Sometimes one person does some of the inner work and the other person doesn't. And then that's when it gets more and more out of balance. And we realize that we have different dreams. We're not, someone isn't quite motivated to maybe do the work to look at life from a higher perspective. They might be someone who lacks hope and faith and belief that they can heal, or they lack belief in love. And again, it could be sometimes you find out that you got in a relationship with someone who really wasn't motivated by love, but they wore a really good false mask for a long time. And then we realize we're kind of have different dreams and that they don't really want us to heal and grow and mature ourselves and be willing to be more authentic in the world because they maybe don't want to be more authentic. And maybe really we're hoping the relationship would stay the way it was, where they didn't have to put an end to their more egoic worldly view of life, or maybe where the relationship seemed more about them than the both of you. And they really prefer to be in relationships where they can operate from their ego or their more emotionally defensive nature, and where maybe people are willing to indulge them more. And if you've been there and done that and you're tired of it, you're ending the relationship, or some other people are in the world. Because, like I say, these friendships and relationships and workplaces, you can be in them for a really long time, because probably the older we get, when we're young, we're keeping up with our peer group. When you're young, at every age group from 10 to 15 to 18 to 21 to 25, we're changing a lot and our peer group is moving. And we're kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm still scared of doing those things. But, we face our fears and we become learn how to do those things and become more independent. But once we kind of get out in the world, some people, the whole world is your peer group. And some people are like, I'm good here. And other people are like, well, I want to keep growing and facing my fears. And other people are like, way over there? I don't want to go way over there. I like it right here. This is where I want to live my life. I want to live my life just like this. I have no interest in stepping out of my comfort zone. If anybody wants to be in a relationship with me, they have to stay right here. And if you're someone who does deal with healing yourself from past pain and heartbreak and self-limiting beliefs, some of the other people just bury it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't ever plan to look at any of the things I've hidden in the dark. I put them in the dark because I don't want to look at them. Some people don't want to see that they wear a false mask. Some people don't want to admit that they're kind of selfish and greedy, or don't want to admit that they're kind of self-centered or stubborn or unwilling to grow and mature themselves, you know? So that's what the Two of Swords in the Five of Swords is about. I have this certain idea of a way of viewing relationships or the workplace or life, and I don't want to see life any differently. And it's being in denial of listening to their intuition, because we all have our intuition that tells us, you know, this phase of our life is, some things need to change. We should grow up and mature ourselves. This is getting old. You know, that's kind of what the death card is too. You know, there's nothing new to learn here. We're not challenging ourselves. We're not growing and maturing ourselves. And our intuition tells us it's time to do things differently, to be illuminated, to, you know, shedding light on some of our fears that make us not want to face our fears and our insecurities and step out of our comfort zone and, you know, just be more authentically ourselves in the world, a more healed person. You know, because why aren't people being bold and brave and confident in love and being in deep, meaningful relationships? Probably because they got unresolved pain and heartbreak and fears from the past. Or they just have this very prideful, stubborn way of viewing life. And that's okay. They can live their life that way. It's just if you don't want to live your life that way, you're kind of illuminated that you have different philosophies of life and you're motivated and inspired by different things in the world, and that you have different dreams. So I think some people, some of you have already ended relationships like that, or jobs. Some people are just doing it now. There could be some people who previously could have been in a loving relationship where there was equal give and take, but they could have been kind of tempted by their more worldly nature, and then the way that would have manifested itself in the world, you know, money is what tempts them, indulgence is what tempts them, ego, stubbornness, whatever is what tempts them. Some of those people thought, I can go indulge in something else in the world. And they were hoping that people wouldn't see the truth of why they didn't keep moving forward with loving and encouraging people in their life. Some people just had lessons to learn, you know, but, you know, we've got to differentiate between people in our life, where some people, you know, some people have poor intentions. Some people are being deceptive and manipulative, and it's calculated, you know. And other people, it could just be, I'm not ready to be in a more, I'm not ready for that type of job responsibility or relationship responsibility, and not wishing anyone ill, not thinking, oh, I'm going to go do this, and then if it doesn't work out, I'm going to come back. I would say probably equally as many people in the world are calculating and deceptive and manipulative, and other people are just, you know, I just don't think this is the right relationship for me. Something about it isn't right. You know, I wish you peace. I have no ill will for you. And other people, it's like, I'm hoping to deceive you about the truth because I want to go dally in something else. And I'm hoping you're going to be overwhelmed and you're kind of going to be in your ego about it. And I'm hoping that you won't get in a new relationship and love and believe in yourself. So that way, if this relationship that I go towards doesn't work out, that I can come back and get in a relationship with you. And we just have to listen to our intuition about who are the people that we've ever been in a relationship with where it's like they never want to see the truth. They're immature, they're impulsive, they're selfish or greedy, or they're prideful, or they're egotistical or immature, and they totally do not want to see the truth of who they are. And who are the people in our life who we did feel were self-aware and were loving people in our life. It's just that, we could have been facing some challenges in life. We felt we needed to pay more attention to our career or our family or something, that we weren't able to move forward with them at that time, but there really wasn't somebody trying to manipulate and control us. Because we can't always return to people and make an offer to people and communicate our truth to people that, I thought this was how I wanted to live my life, but now I've kind of grown and matured myself and learned how to grow up or temper some of my fears and insecurities, that I'm ready to be in a more loving relationship. And there might be some people who are willing to come back and get in a relationship with you. And but if you haven't been in a relationship with that person just recently, you're going to have to listen to your intuition, because everybody can drive their life off into the ditch ever so slowly over time. And you just have to listen to your intuition about where are they at? Have they really done the work and exchanged foundations where they're no longer operating from their more worldly nature, but their more loving, intuitive nature? Did they also maybe get themselves caught up in some things that helped illuminate them to the truth? And, either that, I guess I'd maybe say with loving people that a lot of it could just be that you're not used to being in relationships with people who treat you the way you treat other people. That's like outside your comfort zone. It's like, I'm used to loving people who are more bossy or controlling or stubborn or prideful or egotistical. And that's like my comfort zone. I know how to work with those people, and to be in a relationship with people who like treat me the same way I treat them. I've never even experienced that in my life. That's strange. And, it would be partly because we haven't learned to love ourselves, but you can be a very loving person to other people. But it's kind of being in an out of balance relationship where you're indulging someone else kind of in their poor behavior. You're not getting a just and fair relationship. And then people get in these relationships to make them realize, I deserve to be in a just and fair and balanced relationship. I've learned to love myself and have a very solid foundation within myself and love and believe in myself. I want to be in relationships with other people who've done that work. I'm no longer going to enable people who wear a false mask, are more about ego and image, are stubborn or prideful, or all about themselves. I've been illuminated to the truth that everybody's supposed to put in work and effort to bring a dream into reality, not just the loving person to make the relationship move forward in a loving, balanced way. Both people are supposed to put in work for that. Let's go look at what these 4 cards are here that aren't showing themselves. The Queen of Swords, the Devil, the Fool, and the Magician. Well, in high vibe, some people who had been moving forward in a job, friendship, or relationship where the 6 of Pentacles can also be realizing that you got yourself in a relationship that was more transactional in a way, which would be when someone's really not being truthful and honest. They create the illusion that it's love, but it really is kind of more transactional where, well, you give me that and I'll give you this. And as long as that works out, we can keep staying in the relationship. But again, it's not like freely giving of yourself from a place of love where there's equal give and take. It's more like, well, I gave you a little bit more. Well, I'm not going to do that for you unless you do that for me. Kind of like a tit for tat type of relationship. And some people saw the truth that they were dealing with someone in the devil energy that wasn't operating from a foundation of love. And they decided, I'm not going to be a fool and keep being manipulated by this person who's probably trying to tempt me with the things of the world, appeal to my, want for stability and security and the ego and the image and all that. It's like, nope, I'm going to face my fears and look at life from a higher perspective and have hope and faith and belief in my dreams. And I'm going to exchange this foundation that I'm in for a new one. And that's how you harness these energies that, the people that you could have worked for or been in a relationship with, they didn't know you were someone who maybe had hope and faith and belief in your dreams. They thought you were like them. Again, you harnessed high vibe Aquarius. They could have harnessed a more shadowy Aquarius energy. You are someone who's inspired to try to maintain balance within yourself. You don't like to be tipped out of balance in your fear and your insecurity and your self-limiting beliefs. And you try to look at life from a higher perspective, having hope and faith that you can heal from your own fears and insecurities, because who wants to carry them around forever? And that you're willing to take that action to try to manifest that into reality. And you put in work and effort to try to keep maintaining balance within yourself. And some of the people you could have been in a relationship with, they harness this energy in an opposite way. So they just assumed you did too. And they harness a more shadowy Aquarius energy, defensive, to exchanging the foundation they do align with. They're more emotionally defensive, or, the more kind of maybe egotistical and defensive and self-centered or narcissistic that you are, the more it shows that you have a lot of fears of being more bold and brave and confident within yourself. Because why would people be so emotionally defensive, except that we're afraid, that we can't manifest what we want to manifest. But, I think all we have to do is go out in the world and be at peace within ourselves. I'm going to treat people with love and respect and encouragement, and be gracious and understanding that people are fallible human beings. And I'm going to see who wants to work together with me in that energy. And I realize that not everybody's in that type of energy to want to exchange time, energy, and effort, or hugs and kisses with me, because they're not in that energy. Our shadow nature can be when we're in our pride, our ego, jealous, envious, petty, trying to feel powerful by having negative impacts on other people to make us feel powerful. Like, oh, look how rude I was. Look how snarky I was. Oh my God, I feel so, look at them. I can tell that they're really confused and they don't know why and it makes them feel powerful. The only thing is that's a false sense of empowerment, because it's being codependent on how you make someone else feel to feel powerful. People who are truly empowered within themselves have no interest in trying to gain a sense of power except on making people feel loved and encouraged, because it's a false sense of empowerment, nothing to be proud of. But people who are really defensive maybe just want to keep living life the way they have, or make their life more about money and materialism and status and image, because the world will view them as, you're a successful person, even if they are bossy and controlling and abusive. And, it's just like, oh, look at them. They look like a worldly successful person. Doesn't say anything about the type of character they have, but they're viewed, quote unquote, as a successful person in the world. And some people are happy to settle for that. I just want people to view me as like a successful person, even if emotionally and how they conduct themselves in relationships isn't very having good character. Even if they know they have a lot of fear and insecurities in the world, so long as nobody else knows, they think they're like got it under control. But what kind of life is it to know that I'm never willing to face my fears, to take a leap of faith and believe in myself? I think, they imprison themselves in their own hell. But so long as nobody knows, by worldly standards, they look like they're great. And some people are willing to settle for that. And they thought you wouldn't face your fears and take a leap of faith to believe in yourself, to let go of that job, friendship, or relationship to move forward in your life, because they never do. And they were surprised when you put in this work and effort to love and believe in yourself, because to love yourself is a free will choice. We can the Queen of Swords can be our own critical inner voice. We can belittle and berate ourselves all day if we want. And then we have the whole world willing to join in if they want. Because we don't control anyone else in the world, and we shouldn't try to control anyone else in the world. They're going to do what they're going to do based on where they're at within themselves. They're either going to be a loving and kind and nurturing, supportive person because that's what they've aligned with within themselves, or they're going to be an envy, jealous, petty, competitive, prideful, snarky, person because that's what they aligned with within themselves. So we can be one of the people who criticize and berate ourselves. We'll just join the crowd of the world. But the only person we really have control of is ourselves, and we have the free will choice to move forward in the energy of truth and love and balance and insightfulness that I don't control everyone else in the world. Everyone else makes their free will decisions. I know. I have an idea in the Ace of Swords. I'm going to go be in an energy of peace in my life. And I don't want to be in those negative thoughts and emotions. And I'm going to go enjoy my life. I'm going to be loving and respectful to other people in the world and see who wants to work with me in the world. Who else likes to be in a relationship with other people who are like that? Those are the people, and I'm going to listen to my intuition about who I work with in my life, because I don't want people who come into my life and then are in their ego and competitive energy and try to manipulate me to stop me from loving and believing in myself so that I'm in the same energy as they are, which would be like a shadowy energy. So I think some people that are being a little snarky in relationships right now. Well, what's the other thing that happens for people who are in shadowy energy that are in a relationship? And if they're in a relationship with someone where they're hiding their true nature and they're putting in work and effort, exchanging resources with someone who wants them to put work and effort in love to bring a dream into reality, and they're like, oh my God, I just hate working with this person. They're so damn self-disciplined and loving, If that's not who they are, and they are more driven by the world and like, damn, I'd like to be in a relationship with someone who is more about ego and image and let's go out there and show everybody what we have and what we, because that's how they build their self-esteem, is off of how other people in the world view them. They don't take like joy and satisfaction by knowing I act with character and integrity and love in my life. Because they probably have a harsh, critical inner voice and haven't learned to love themselves. So it's always to go out in the world for other people to validate their worth and value. Like, oh my gosh, where did you get that? Oh my gosh, how much did that cost? Where did you go on vacation? Oh my gosh, how much money do you make again? Or, oh my God, it's all these superficial things outside of them that make them feel like they have value, or all the different people who they cultivate these relationships with. So all these people, when they go out, like they're maybe so loved or something, but the people that even could actually really love them in the world don't realize that the person is kind of feeding off of them. It's not really, if it wasn't you, it'd just be someone else, You're all just pawns in my game to feed my ego. But anyway, some of the shadowy people are just like, oh my gosh, I really wish this relationship would end, because everybody likes to be in a relationship with people that they're in the same page on, right? It's just like, I don't know. Well, you can imagine all the contrast people could have. If you're in a relationship, say, with someone who, to the extreme, never wants to have a drink, a glass of wine, or ever go out to eat, and you're just like, oh my gosh, can we go out? Or somebody who's like, oh my gosh, we must go bowling 4 days a week. You just kind of want to find people on the same page. Some of the people, though, who don't really want to be in a relationship with some loving people, or even some loving people who might be moving forward with some people that they don't really like, some of them are just doing it, not speaking their truth, because they are kind of all caught up in the devil represents things of the world. They might even think the other person, I don't like you, I'm not attracted to you, I find you not my cup of tea, but I'm not willing to tell you my truth because of these things of the world. And not wanting to go have a new beginning. So they're really kind of going to learn a hard lesson, is what the Fool's about in Shadow. They're going to learn a hard lesson because they're being manipulated by their more worldly nature. And some of the loving people who might know that the person they're in a relationship with is only kind of indulging them for the ego and the image and the money, but they think, I don't know, for some reason, I don't want to leave and go get in a new relationship too. I'm willing to keep up the illusion. I think everybody's going to end up feeling overwhelmed because everybody kind of knows they're operating from their ego and that they're both emotionally manipulating each other. And there's an end to love and acting with character and integrity in a relationship, because now everybody is just trying to get the most that they can get out of it for as long as they're in it. But I do think that there's some loving people that are in those relationships that aren't speaking their truth to some people in their life because they might not be sure if they're shadowy, but they've got their eye on them kind of behind the scenes. And they're pretty sure that the person they're with is kind of taking them for a fool and trying to manipulate them. And it might just be, you know what? I'm just going to keep going along and seeing how things go. I'm going to maintain my balance. Because if you've been in a relationship with someone who's shadowy, again, those are people that don't have good discipline within themselves. And they're either kind of manipulative or bossy or controlling or self-centered or whatever. And sometimes we're so caught up in kind of like chasing people or trying to get the relationship to work, or because of our own fears that we haven't wanted to deal with it, that when we start to see the truth, when we start to maintain more balance and loving ourselves, it's like, I'm going to see how you act, because now I've kind of figured out the game that when I start to focus on loving myself, being loving and pleasant to you too, but I'm not going to play into the games anymore. And I'm going to keep, trying to be like loving and encouraging, and I'm sure everything will be fine. Let's just keep moving forward. If you've ever been in a situation like that, you know what I'm talking about. And the other person, it can really bug them because they're trying to get you out of balance, to get you to either enable them and indulge them or be in shadowy energy with them so that you won't love and believe in yourself and leave. That's when some people could get to be where they see the truth. Some of them might even, the shadowy or the loving person, well, I'm not sure if it'd be the loving person. Well, could be either one. If the loving person still hasn't really been seeing the truth and they really think this is going to go long term, they might propose to that person. And that's when they'll see the truth, that that person maybe really has just kind of been indulging in the relationship if they're not married. And then it's like, oh, yeah, no, I really, as long as you're willing to indulge me, I'd stay in the relationship. Because if you're loving or you're warm or whatever, I like being in a relationship with you. But I'm not going to have a new beginning or a new marriage with anyone else. I was just kind of indulging myself here. And if you're not willing to just let me keep indulging, I'll go find someone else who will. And that's when some loving people might see, oh, this person really isn't who they say they are. And if a shadowy person is only trying to be in the relationship for money or materialism, they might be concerned because the person they're in a relationship with is maintaining better balance within themselves. And it's like, I'm afraid they might end the relationship with me. And that person might try to get them to move forward in a commitment or a relationship. And maybe they'd have a lot of conversation about that, because between the Ace of Swords and the Seven of Swords is the Six of Swords, about moving forward to bring a dream into reality. Maybe during that conversation, and maybe depending on how manipulative someone seems to be, or forceful someone seems to be, or intimidating someone tries to be, or really kind of like trying to seduce someone, and shadowy Sagittarius, how people can use that. It might make someone realize that, this person, and the divine's always trying to illuminate the truth about people's foundations to us. It's just sometimes we turn our back on taking some bold, brave, confident action to get out of our ego. I don't know, because we like to think we're right or something. So we don't want to see the truth. Let's go see what's coming up. Oh, and for some of you that have left a relationship like that and you're moving forward in your life, either moving forward in work or in a new relationship, or you might get in a new relationship or just start a new relationship, that's when some shadowy people can also pop back up in your life, because if they were off dallying and whatever they were doing, it was fine as long as you weren't moving too much forward in your life. And if they start to sense that you are, they might try to pop back up in your life and hope that you're still overwhelmed and in your ego about them. But the thing is, what they don't know is you've exchanged foundations, that you've seen the truth of who they are. They just don't know that. With these cards not showing themselves, they don't know that you've seen the truth, that you view them and see them as being like an unjust, an unfair, a disloyal, unloving, egotistical, materialistic, self-centered person. And they don't know that. And they might want to pop back up thinking you still view them as a loving person. And you might be like, no, I don't. And I'm moving on with my life. I'm done being in relationships with people who are prideful and egotistical and stubborn and all that. I have a dream. And you might be moving forward with someone new who, like you, also looks at life from a higher perspective, who is someone who is willing to temper their pride and ego nature and making it all about them, and is willing to work with you cooperatively. And both of you have emotionally detached from the past and other relationships to have new beginnings in work or in relationships. And when the other people see that you're moving forward, they're going to have to go back and find someone else to wear their false mask to try to get someone else to get in a relationship with them. Okay, tell us what's coming up for the people who harness high vibe Gemini energy. The Queen of Wands, because of the Page of Pentacles. Well, for one, as you go through this process, it's all about being in high vibe Leo energy. Shadowy Leos being in your ego and your competitive energy and, the fear and insecurities and all that. You have learned how to love yourself emotionally. And you've learned to love your inner child nature. Like, I am going to take over the job of caring for my inner child. I'm going to be my own best mother, father, coach voice to my own inner child, not being codependent, like looking for a parent for me. I've grown and matured myself, learned how to love myself, and I'm invested in loving and believing in myself. High vibe Leo energy is represented by the sun. I have learned to love my own worldly foundation and learn to incorporate that into my philosophy of life, of how I make decisions in my life. And I have a new dream of what I believe is possible in the world. And I'm going to invest in that. And I'm going to invest in other people who are in that energy. And as you align with that within yourself, and you're not investing your time, energy, and effort in exchanging hugs and kisses and time and energy with people who are shadowy, leaves you open to invest in other people in the world who are loving and warm and authentic. That's the big thing about Leo energy and high vibe, is it's authentic. People who aren't wearing a false mask, who are loving and warm and encouraging. And as you align with that in your world and go out in the world like that, you're going to have other people that are in that hopeful, believing, loving, authentic nature like you, kind of like your inner child, out playing in the world, being free to be yourself, to offer love and compassion and, respect to people, to see who else is in the energy of love. And you're going to have other people wanting to invest in you. Okay, what else? What's coming up for the people who harness kind of worldly focused or more shadowy Gemini energy? Kind of more aligned with thinking, I could align with love and hope and faith and belief to manifest my dreams, but I think I'm going to align with my worldly nature and either make my life more about the worldly view of life or being in my emotionally defensive egoic nature, because I get hurt doing love. So I'm not going to do love. What a waste of a life, right? I'm not going to do love. But that's their free will choice. So what's coming up for the people who harness some more worldly Gemini energy that they don't see coming up? Okay. The High Priestess, the Chariot, the Seven of Swords, because of the Queen of Wands. Well, for you high vibe people, so shadowy people have all known some loving, encouraging people in their life that they probably could have stayed in friendships and relationships with, but they probably either were deceptive and manipulative and trying to get those people to chase after them, or wanting to manipulate and control the people that they were in relationship with, that what they don't see coming is the people in their life they were trying to manipulate listen to their intuition. And the high vibe people realized that they harness high vibe Leo energy, and the other people were hiding that they harness shadowy Leo energy. And the high vibe people listened to their intuition and offered love to the situation, because love is what helps us heal, to be able to release it. I accept that everyone is where they're at. If people were free and able to be open to love, they would be. But, we've got to deal with our fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs, and some people aren't willing to do that. So the high vibe people took the action emotionally to get in the driver's seat of their own life, from love, to stay balanced within themselves, to love themselves, and to keep moving forward, believing in their dreams, listening to their intuition to guide them. And the shadowy people didn't think that they would do that, because the shadowy people have never done that. And the shadowy people, they kind of use their intuition, their mind, and their knowing of human behavior to try to make themselves look like they're victorious and successful in the world, to try to deceive other people about the truth of who they are. So they try to present themselves as harnessing like high vibe Gemini, high vibe Leo, high vibe Aquarius, high vibe Cancer. I'm this just and fair and loving family person. I'm not selfish. I'm not greedy. I'm not manipulative. I'm not prideful. I'm not egotistical. But they are. Shadowy high priestess can be, I'm trying to hide from the world the truth. I want to move forward and look victorious and successful. I want to look like a shining star in the world. And that could be, if I didn't think I could get that to manifest into reality with the people I was in relationship with, like I wouldn't have the money or the status or the image, or I wouldn't be indulged the way I like to be indulged in maybe a self-centered nature. They wouldn't keep indulging me in my ego. I know. I'm going to leave the high vibe people behind, and I'm going to go see if I can deceive someone else about the truth of who I am and try to get them to move forward with me in a relationship. And what they might not see coming is there's probably other shadowy people in the world just like them who know that this person is more motivated by pride and ego and image and immaturity and indulgence and ego. And that person's going to approach them and say, I want to move forward with you in a victory. And the person might be like, oh my gosh, look, they're coming. Oh my gosh, my dreams are going to come into reality. The only thing is, what they don't realize is that the person who's maybe coming to get in a relationship with them isn't who they present themselves to be. they could try to present themselves as being just like the other high vibe people that left their life. Is like, oh, good, I can start over with someone else who's loving, and nurturing and supportive and indulges me. But this person is hiding that they're being deceptive. It's really more about building their ego or their image or for their competitive nature. And then after that person probably gets in a relationship with them, they're going to leave because it really wasn't about them. It was good for my ego and image. I wanted to look like I was the victor. I wanted to look like I was winning. So I went and got in a relationship with you. And then when it looked like I had a victory or it built my ego up enough, then I'm going to go leave and go find someone else to prey on. So I just don't think it doesn't work out when people are in shadowy energy. If they get in a relationship with another loving person, the other loving person is going to listen to their intuition, and this same pattern is going to happen again. The only people that are guaranteed to be at peace and feel stable and grounded and abundant within themselves and probably have loving and nurturing, supportive friendships and relationships that are authentic and loving and warm are the people who are being that in their own life. And the people who think, I want that, but I don't want to have to do that. I want to be defensive. I want to be manipulative. And I want all the things that other people have. And I'm going to try to take them from other people. And I'm going to try to instill fear and insecurity in the people I'm in relationship with for them to keep building my ego and chase after me and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? Run away and go find someone else who wants to chase you. So there you go. I wish you, Gemini, peace, love, and joy. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.